Australia are out, Zimbabwe are in. This World Cup just flipped its script. Not because of the last ball thriller or not because of a super over, but because the teams who were supposed to wait refused to wait and they're taking the places of the heavyweights. Not by any fluke, but on merit. Today was not a normal day. Today was the day Zimbabwe walked into the Super 8 and the day Australia walked out of relevance. The day Nepal and Canada reminded all of us that associate cricket is no longer polite, it is ambitious, and it is here to stay. And if you think this is just about results, you are totally missing the story. Welcome to Deep Point, where we go beyond the scorecards and talk about the stories and narratives that shape the game. My name is Chinmoy, along with Sanlap. Tonight, we will talk about very important stories. The story where a heavyweight, a giant, is out of the tournament, an emerging team that is coming back into scene is into the Super 8, and also the heroics of Nepal and the way Canada showed what kind of talents they have in their team. So, Salaf, let's start with the three games that we have. Obviously, one game is washed out, but the game washed out, but it also took Australia with it, right? So we will talk about that game, not because of the performances or anything, but the implication of that particular fixture and the other two games, the kind of start that Canada got in their batting. We also will talk about New Zealand's batting, so the way they are actually doing great in middle overs. We will also talk about the kind of cricket that Nepal as a cricketing nation is playing. So take us through the day.
Yeah, so that actually the first game of the day was New Zealand versus Canada. So far as Canada's performances were concerned, yesterday also, I think yesterday or day before, I was mentioning that that group is right now sorted. Afghanistan is almost out because in any which way, Canada will, like New Zealand will beat Canada and they will go into the Super 8 very comfortably. Now, when the game started, who would have ever thought that from this match we would be getting the second centurion of World T20? We got the first yesterday, Patham Nisanka, in the match of Sri Lanka versus Australia. And not only that, we would be getting the second 100 maker in this version of World T20 from Canadian side, not from New Zealand side. If you ever mention to someone that we have got a batsman who has scored 100 in a New Zealand versus Canada match, the natural guess will be it would be from New Zealand, but no, it's from Canada. And today, I think the way Yuvraj played, not Yuvraj Singh, but Yuvraj Samra, though their style of playing is absolutely similar. So today, I was just very, very surprised to see that these hidden gems are there in world cricket and they are representing this associate teams, and the his style of playing, he's such a clean hitter. So I was wondering that where was this guy. He was when he hits it's absolutely delightful to see some of his sixes down the ground, in the offside. So he has a very, very good overall, a very good range of shots, I must say, which the other Yuvraj, the legend Yuvraj had. And today there was a moment in the game where Yuvraj Singh and this Yuvraj, or new Yuvraj, they were compared, and the way their shots, the way Yuvraj used to play his shots, that was, they were getting compared with today's this guy's performance. This lad, I think he has a long way to go. He's a he has a bright future. I hope he will be doing more brilliant things for Canada. And now it's the time that associate teams should be taken seriously. Though the game was finally, it was made when New Zealand came to bat. There were a few hiccups initially. They lost their openers, within the power play, but then again, our X factor from New Zealand team, that one guy, Glenn Phillips, who is in probably the form of his life. Whatever he's doing,
Like,
it's whatever
yeah.
he's touching, it's turning into gold in one day format, in T20 format, whatever he is doing. So I think after that, the partnership between Rachin finally found his form a little bit.
Mm,
So that's a good news for New Zealand before going to the Super 8 stage. I think they would be extremely happy to see an informed Rachin when they are shifting to Sri Lanka. We know that Rachin is a very good player of spin. So when there will be, turning tracks, they will be playing teams like Pakistan and okay, Pakistan, they haven't got into the Super 8 yet. So let's hold on to Pakistan. They definitely Sri Lanka
mm,
has. So Sri Lanka has a very strong spin attack. In fact, England also has a very strong spin attack, which was almost nullified on Indian tracks, but they will be extremely dangerous in on those Sri Lankan tracks. So, yeah, so that's a good news for New Zealand. They have found Ravindra in back into his form again. Glenn Phillips is, be it spin, be it pace, it doesn't matter. When he hits, he just keeps on hitting, and it's delightful to watch it. People you just sit back, you just relax, and you just, ask him to hit the balls like this. I think finally the chase was extremely easy for New Zealand, but people will remember Yuvraj. Yeah, that was the first game.
mm.
So, what did you like? How do you see the first game?
Yeah, I think obviously Yuvraj's innings was the story from that match, but the way the New Zealand's middle order is playing is commendable. I think obviously the main talking point is their opening pair, but uh, the way Phillips played the 36 ball 76 and Rachin's 59 not out means New Zealand now is a team that you should be a bit wary of and strategize well against them. Otherwise, they can make your life very difficult because just see their openers today failed cheaply and still they came back into the match. I know that Canada lacked depth in their bowling, but still the way Phillips and Rachin played is something many strategists will take note of and think about. I think so. It was a great chase. There was no panic, no fluctuations, no nothing. So that was the clean chase from their side. I think New Zealand is now getting back to their groove and they're playing good cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Super 8 format will be absolutely different.
Hmm.
Till now, seven teams have stormed into the Super 8s. And
Hmm.
out of these eight teams, I think it's going to be very difficult to choose any four. So
Hmm.
let's see. We will make another episode on. Let's figure out what is our eighth team. I think tomorrow we will have our answers once
Hmm.
the match
Hmm.
between Pakistan versus Namibia is done.
Hmm.
So basically, if tomorrow by any means Namibia manages to make an upset, then
Hmm.
the eighth team is going to be USA. So
Hmm.
that's a huge thing. Again, we will have to make a different
Yeah,
video, and we will have to mention that, yeah, another
that will be
heavyweight,
another
and
story. Yeah,
that
yeah.
would be another story. So yeah, and USA would be getting into the Super 8 back to back.
Hmm.
Seasons of the World T20. Last
Hmm.
World T20 also they managed to into the Super 8. Okay,
Hmm.
so I think the second game, though it was a washout, I think it is holding
Hmm.
the highest relevance in today's context. That
Hmm.
washout actually ensured that we are seeing the back of Australian team, and
Hmm.
it's a rare thing to happen that
Hmm.
Australia is out of the tournament from the very first round. Generally, they manages at least the second round, and maybe sometimes they have managed to the semi, sometimes they couldn't. But generally, we have seen that they do manage the Super Eights. It's a very rare thing that they are getting eliminated from the first round itself. So yeah, somehow it was a great news So far as Zimbabwe is concerned, I think they were a very strong team at some point of time. We had
Hmm.
legends from Zimbabwe team like Andy Flower, Grant Flower,
Hmm.
Heath Strick. Then we had people like they had an opener Neil Johnson who used to open while batting and while bowling also. He also had extremely good record 1999 World Cup. So yeah, so Henry Olonga is another bowler who had a terrific record against India. So we had some very interesting Zimbabwe players, and today we are seeing another Zimbabwe who has stormed into the
Hmm.
Super 8.
So,
Let's
rain stopped the game, but rain could not stop Zimbabwe from moving into the Super 8. Rather,
actually
it helped them to.
Zimbabwe cruised,
Yeah.
in that rainfall. So I think that was the basic story, and it was not only a washout, it washed Australia out of the tournament, as you mentioned.
And it's an interesting and emotional story in the sense that if you look at Zimbabwe cricket, it has lived in the margins, right? So there were financial troubles, there were administrative chaos, there were a lot of
Political,
players leaving,
politic,
political troubles. So there was a lot of turmoils that were happening. That's why this particular moment or this resurgence is story for the ages. I think it's one of the most important story of this World Cup. I don't know what will happen in this tournament, but if even 10 years later, if I remember this particular tournament, I will remember this story. So this story is
absolutely,
really a story to tell our future generations that there was a Zimbabwe team that did wonders. So
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
a story for the ages. Talking about Zimbabwe and now they are in Super 8, but we will also talk a bit about Australia, the polar opposite kind of story. And
Mhm.
let's talk a bit about why they faltered, why they are now out of this tournament. Let's talk a bit about that.
First and foremost, injuries. I think you
Mm,
know they could not play their best players, number one, and that actually kind of messed their planning up absolutely. So they missed Hazelwood, they missed Cummins first. Thereafter, they I think a big thing was Marsh was missed in a few games, like he could not join the team. He played only, I think, the game against Sri Lanka. So I think there were some setbacks so far as that is concerned. Must say that, Team David, another failure who came after an
mm,
injury and he could not just manage. The middle order batting, they never actually turned up when it was required. Neither, we saw anything coming from, players like Green. Green was a very big setback. They were depending a lot on Green. English, he was patchy. In some case, some
mm,
parts he showed that he has sparks, but again he was not in the best of his form. Maxwell has crossed his prime. He was not even expected to shine like he used to at some point. Even Maxwell remained unsold in IPL auction, so that that kind of explains it all. I think overall, even the kind of bowling attack that they came up with, I think on a track on a Sri Lankan pitch, they fired very less, and also they were not having any momentum with them. They miserably lost a series against Pakistan in Pakistan. They came with a 3-0 whitewash. And I think now when it happened, we were actually wondering that Australia is not that bad a team that it would be whitewashed by Pakistan 3-0 at home. So we were like that was also a very kind of a shocking thing for us. Now we can relate
mm,
with that yes, there is something wrong with the T20 format and the T20 team of Australia. Australia has never been the best of the T20 teams. So if you look at the last six T20 tournaments, they could not manage to get into the semis. in 5 of them. So their T20 format has always been a little bit, underwhelming so far as the other two formats are concerned. They are champions in the other two formats, but 20 is not the best of their games. So yeah, a lot of things, I think, but I think this is the lowest point at which Australian team has ever been. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned about Pakistan series and what happened there. I think they struggled there on slow surfaces. And I think they could have taken some notes that where they are going wrong, and could have learned something out of that experience and then think about their team selection. For example, think about a player like Steve Smith. I think Smith is a player who is tailor made for pitches like this. And when look at the batting order of Australia, they're playing Green at 3. I think Team David at 4, then Maxwell. Then so if you look at the team, all of them are big hitters, but none of them can play the anchoring role. English to some extent, but again, English is not Steve Smith. So they could have picked a player like Smith. If not Smith, a player like Smith. Even if they could have used Connolly as their number 3, that could have added a left-hander at 3. And again, Connolly is again an all-rounder, so he could have also be very useful. Because if you are not playing Green at 3, then 4 and 5 is not a position for Green. So they could have taken a different approach when it comes to their batting order and team selection, especially the last match against Sri Lanka. They could have picked Steve Smith. That's what I think, because especially given the kind of form that Steve Smith was in, just look at how he had played in Big Bash. The kind of rhythm he was in. He actually looked a class above than all the other players that Australia picked. Their opening pair is great. Marsh and Head was great. They could have picked a good number 3, and Smith could have been a better choice than Green. So I think that's where Australia lacked planning, how to prepare for slow surfaces, and obviously injuries that played a big role in there. But even if the good thing, or what is unique about teams like Australia, if you allow them to move to Super 8, then they are a different breed, different team altogether. They could have, so in 23 World 50 over also, they were playing like this in group stages, and then after that Afghanistan match, they came back like champions. So
there was no looking
it's
back.
good. Yeah, it's actually good news for all the other teams, because if you allow Australia to pass through those initial few matches, then that would have been something different. But I think this time they actually lacked preparation in slower pitches, because they were looking out of place on slower tracks. So I think that's what happened with them, and that led to their downfall. Many people are talking about their downfall. It's not it's not the case. I think it's more to do with injuries, team selection a bit, and the most important factor was the tracks, slow tracks. So if you are competing with Sri Lanka in home condition and those turning pitches, it's very difficult unless you have team for that, unless you have the preparation. Otherwise, you can't compete. Look at the way Sri Lanka came back into the match and the way they played when they came to bat. So they were not prepared. That's what I think. Australia were not that prepared.
So what I feel is, Australia had a very unique case. So far as their venues were concerned, they had they had a league stage which was in Sri Lanka, and had they qualified into the Super 8, it would have been in India. So I think they kind of took it for granted that they would, any which way, they would manage to get into the Super 8. At max, they would have lost to Sri Lanka. But what actually shocked them was the loss against Zimbabwe. They didn't see that coming. So I think
Hmm.
Zimbabwe was that one match which actually shook them completely, and they could not,
To recover from that.
somehow tried to recover, but
Hmm.
again against Sri Lanka, they collapsed in front of the spin attack. So yeah, so they came up with the team which should have been successful in Indian pitches, but again, since there was they were not prepared that much for the turning tracks in Sri Lanka, they got a relatively easy group, but again, Zimbabwe surprised everyone. Hmm.
All right, so let's move to Nepal's chase. Nepal chased 170. Let's also talk about Dipendra Singh's 50 of 23. That's a great finishing. That was a great chase. I think Nepal, they are hungry. They are here to compete, and they ended with a bang. That's what I think.
Absolutely.
That they were,
So
yeah.
this is my favorite group. So every team has won at least one match. So
Mm,
among the three teams which could not qualify into the next round, Scotland defeated Italy, Italy defeated Nepal, Nepal again defeated
mm,
Scotland. So the round is, the circle is complete now, and extreme. I'm so happy with this group. So every team, they Scotland, after that late call up, they have shown some really good cricket. Even today, if we forget that how Scotland played, very good partnership, very good opening partnership between George Bunsey and Michael Jones. Michael Jones played extremely well, and
mm,
Nepal bowling lineup, Sompal Kami, that catch which
mm.
he took today. Oh my God, we are seeing some terrific catches this time.
Yeah,
Yesterday we saw a blinder from Nisanka.
from Nishanka.
Today we saw this screamer from Sompal. So I think brilliant stuff. And their batting, my goodness, after Nepal came to bat, even the openers Asif and Kushal Bhuttel and Asif, they started off the things off really well. Now even the spinner of Scotland, who actually derailed the chase, Michael Leask is the spinner. He is the second highest wicket taker of the tournament after Shadley Skopvik. I think he's the second highest wicket taker. My goodness. So that says it all in a tournament where every, see how they are playing. So in a tournament where all the big gun teams are playing, like India, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, these heavyweights are playing. Who are the top wicket takers? One from USA and one from Scotland. My goodness. That was so much. Cricket. That's why cricket is such an unpredictable game. So yeah,
Mm,
so even today, the way Leask actually kind of took three wickets back to back, and that put Nepal into a lot of pressure. But Dipendra Singh Airee, the hero, and
yeah,
he is going to be a very big name. So I think the way he played against England on that day only, we mentioned that the way he took on Adil Rashid. Oh my God,
yeah, yeah.
that
Mm,
impressed me like anything. And today, that one over of even like the spinner who was taking the all the wickets in, and in against that spinner only, he charged at some point, and they, I think Nepal scored 20 of that over, and that actually shifted the momentum back to Nepal, because Leask, the main strike bowler, went for 20 runs. So against Scotland, that again came out of syllabus for Scotland. So I think brilliant ending to their venture. I think a brilliant group. As I mentioned, that every team has won at least one match. It's delightful to see such a group.
all right. So we had a tournament defining day. We saw one emerging team is showing that they are actually bringing back their glory days from 90s, and we are really excited to see that. We also saw that Zimbabwe showed that they belong. Nepal showed that they are rising as a cricketing playing nation. We also saw that Canada is shouting out loud that they are learning fast. New Zealand is again coming back to their best. But Australia, they are still searching for their identity in T20 cricket. But overall, the gap in world cricket is shrinking. So the tournament just got deeper, and we there are a lot of interesting stories in store. We know that for sure, and we are waiting for those moments, and we will capture those moments and present them in our channel. This is Deep Point. My name is Chinmoy, along with Sanlap. We thank you for staying back till this point. Thank you so much for watching. And this World Cup just found its pulse. And we are pumped. We are ready for all the things that it has in store. And with that note, let's end this video and we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.